introduce your show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Systematic. I have with me A.Rahim Khan, and we are discussing what's happened over the past week.
Weeks now. Weeks. We're coming to the end of the year, and I think we'll do a year-ender at some point, but 2025 has been a shit year so far.
Overall, yeah. Not amongst my top 40, if you will.
No, exactly. And, you think things calm down towards the end of the year, but with this Bondi Beach thing that just happened, Let me ask you this. Let me just get this out of my system. Was it a false flag?
Man, look, look, violence is violence. So I take violence at its, how do you commit a false flag when the individuals the perpetrators who are doing it are arrested, they're caught, their backgrounds.
Killed, caught, yeah.
Yeah, you know their backgrounds, whatever. Is it that you deliberately went and radicalized a group of people, you put in effort and time and money and convinced them and brainwashed them?
Sure.
Right? It's still them who pulled the trigger, right? It's still them, right? So where does responsibility lie there, right? That's one thing. And again, this is just complete
hearsay right now.
Hearsay and speculation and things like that. Regardless of what happened, this is innocent people who were killed.
Absolutely, 100%.
And this was 100%. A completely, condemnable exercise. When you're a Pakistani or when you're a Muslim, the first thing happens whenever there's a mass shooting is this person Muslim or not? Is it one of us? Or is it, is it a brown man?
Right? A brown man, exactly. Yeah.
And that's the first terror, that goes through your body. And then when you realize, oh shit, they are,
they happen to be brown.
And not only brown, but like the Pakistani brown.
The Pakistani type, brown, right? Because the thing is that the guy had
Akram and Sajid Akram
exactly
are the most
Pakistani names ever.
Names you can get, right?
And the thing is, I think that's what led to the initial confusion. But before we even sort of get into that, let's go back to the actual start of this entire, sort of Bondi Beach as it unfolded. So it's happening in real time again. It's Hanukkah. It's being celebrated on what's it called, Bondi Beach. There are scores of Jewish families out there, and here you have two individuals, which at the time, of course, we did not know were father and son. They pop up here on the beach. They are trained.
Yeah.
I mean, they appear trained because, listen, I am no judge of sort of military expertise or anything like that.
But the videos that are coming out.
And the way that this guy is discharging his firearm.
Yeah.
And this isn't a firearm. This is a proper pump action like shotgun. This guy received training of some sort. Of course, we learned subsequently what that training was. Okay. Of course, then we saw the video of another sort of nameless individual until that point who goes and disarms this person. Right. That is Bondi Beach. I mean, sort of in a nutshell. Right. I think it was the purported hero. I think his name came out first, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's get into that first. Because Netanyahu, Satan himself, was very quick to say that this man was a Jew. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he came out, what's it called? This is one of his press conferences. I think this was sort of at first blush, I think immediately after the actual sort of incident, he said that this was a Jew. And I think that there was some disinformation thrown out there as well. Of course, it was entirely spurious that he was one of the Hamas captives.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Of course. This was put out that he was one of the Hamas captives. He was he was with them for 600 days or something like that. And then he relocated to Australia. And now look at him. What a shock it was to everybody that it turned out to be somebody called Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who apparently has people are running out of names. Right?
Yeah.
Remember you had a Somali friend in
Abdi.
Abdi.
Yeah, we used to call him Abdi Squared. Right? So this is Ahmed Squared, basically.
Ahmed Squared, a Syrian refugee who's been in Australia, I think, for the better part of, 10 years almost.
Running a fruit shop.
Running a fruit stall. And here he is. He goes and disarms this man, gets shot twice as well.
Yeah,
Go.
What an absolutely heroic thing. First of all, as we were mentioning, the tragedy of this entire thing as a Pakistani, as a Muslim, realizing that this is, yet again another incident where the result is going to be more further vilification of Muslims for this, utter stupidity, sheer, inexplicable violence, really.
Inexplicable violence.
Right. And we shouldn't actually say inexplicable. If this was,
it's senseless,
violence,
it's pointless.
Yeah, it's senseless, it's pointless, absolutely. But what has led to a lot of this is the violence in Gaza and Muslims around the world feeling helpless that they can't do.
Helpless,
and so they do something stupid like this.
Right, yeah.
And utterly indefensible like this. At the same time, we see this man who comes up not to defend his own family, not to defend people he knew.
Not at all.
But just to step up and say, this is wrong and I'm going to step in and really put my life at risk here.
And the thing is, I think that, I'm not saying that there was a silver lining to this tragedy. No way am I saying that. But I think it really puts the narratives that are being put out, and we are going to be discussing the narratives right now, but it really puts to bed a lot of these narratives about sort of radicalized Muslims, because on the one hand, and it's very interesting because in both cases, both of them are sort of immigrants to Australia.
Yeah.
This one sort of Naveed Akram from India. Here's somebody from Syria. Came on student visa. Both of them are sort of Muslim, right? Here is sort of one direction in which this guy went, and here's another direction in this guy
absolutely.
went. So I mean, sort of that contrast, I don't think that anyone's been trying to play it up at all, right? Again, everyone said, "Oh, he's a hero. He saved Australians." I mean, there was a GoFundMe for him because he had
he's made several $1 million now off that.
Good off him. Sort of good on him. But the thing is that very fact, I think, quashed a lot of the blowback that was expected to come.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I don't think that anyone would have even imagined, would have conceived that sort of, on the one hand, you have these guys, and then on the other hand, you have this man, who, as you said, did it not for his own life and limb, not for his family, not even for his fruit stall. It's not like they were shooting up his fruit stall. Here's somebody who just saw something that was visibly wrong, and he's like, I'm going to step in.
Literally, I mean, and then I know if you saw that interview, there was one of the victims or people who survived this, a Jewish individual. He says that Ahmed al-Ahmed is, the reason I'm standing here, or my kids have not been killed, is because of this man, and the selflessness that he demonstrated there, and that really, I think, is a role model, not just for Muslims, but for anyone.
But for anyone.
Situations like this. And I think what it really calls out is, when Americans say that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Exactly.
Right? You don't need a gun.
You don't need a gun in this guy's case.
The only way to stop a bad guy is with Ahmed al-Ahmed.
Exactly. You need this guy. Although I have to say something, I think, have you seen Ahmed al-Ahmed's father?
No, I haven't.
Ahmed al-Ahmed looks like his father. I don't know what this guy's lifestyle is, but I hope that he will turn around, because you see the father looks a lot younger than Ahmed al-Ahmed.
Really?
Yeah, man. Dude. The father is in much better shape than this guy is.
Anyhow, yeah.
Okay, so that happens. Then, of course, it leads to this chorus, and I think I have to read this, where everyone... Okay, these are just some of the headlines that emerged immediately after. And of course, you can see what kind of tenor they run. Bondi Beach is what globalized the Intifada looks like. Brett Steffen's New York Times, of course. The Intifada comes to Bondi Beach. David from The Atlantic. The Intifada comes to Australia. Walter Russell Mead, Wall Street Journal. Shooting at Bondi Beach is what a globalized Intifada looks like. Herb Kanan, Jerusalem Post. The Intifada comes to Australia. Ayan Hirsi Ali, The Free Press. Those two, I mean, Ayan Hirsi Ali and The Free Press in the same sentence says it all. Right? Welcome to the global Intifada.
Yeah, the Free Press is Barry Weiss's Free Press.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's Ayan Hirsi Ali as well. Yeah. Somebody who was... Where has she been the past 2 years? I wonder. Welcome to the global Intifada. David Harsanyi, Washington Examiner. Palestinian propaganda has globalized the Intifada. Zachary Faria, Washington Examiner. And it just continues. It just continues. There's... everyone who's anyone.
So, Rahim, I think what's happening here is that there's a crisis. There's a crisis in the propaganda machine.
Yeah.
For the Zionist propaganda machine.
Hasbara is
failing miserably.
It is.
Right. All their tricks have been laid bare in the past 2 years. The people have been identified. These are shills for they're getting paid $7,000 per post, shit like this, and it's just come to the fore. People don't buy their crap anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're asking questions. This America First movement, with the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owens and the right.
We're going to get into that.
And a group of the MAGAsphere is fracturing based on.
Yeah, there's a civil war.
Exactly, right. You have these ultra pro-Israelis like Trump himself, and this whole group of Huckabees and whatnot. And then you have this whole group of individuals who are saying, "Who the hell are you caring for first, right?" But anyway, we'll get into that. So this propaganda isn't working. Now they need to shift this propaganda, right? They need to reinvent themselves. And if openly advocating for Israel is failing because Israel is toxic right now, then who are Israel's enemies? Let's start targeting them, right? So if a positive move isn't happening, let's do negative thing. And it's the Palestinians, but it's a lot easier. Palestinian, we've been shown so many starving babies and dying women and children and stuff like that people sympathize with Palestinians, so they're not going to use the Palestinian word.
Yeah. No.
So what are they going to do? Palestinians happen to be Muslims as well. Let's use, and we've got this 2 or 3 decades of beautiful conditioning of the general American public and Western public where we have vilified these people. Let's build onto that. The problem is there's also something known as fatigue. What happens, right?
Yeah.
I think people are sick and tired of the terrorism fatigue and all of that fatigue. So I think this is going to fail as well, but I think
they're also sick and tired of the anti-Semitism fatigue.
Yeah, like people calling everything anti-Semitism.
And over the past 2 years, it has been sort of drummed into everyone's collective sort of conscience that sort of, again, and you raised this point on your episode of Systematic, that if somebody like Miss Rachel, who is simply saying, "Hey, I don't want kids to die," if that is being labeled as anti-Semitic, then you know what? Anti-Semitism as an ism itself has lost all standing. I mean, it's on the weakest wicket possible.
Yeah. And you know what? I think these guys are victims of their own success.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have been so successful in pushing this thing that everybody knows what anti-Semitism is, right? And it's a response to what? The brutality that happened in the Second World War, correct?
Yes.
And when people have been shown this again and again, and through movies or through education or through whatever it is or communication, they've been drilled into this is what this is a response of, and that's why you have to protect. And then they see the exact same things happening that led to anti-Semitism occurring or becoming a thing, and where anti-Semitism led to the violence that Nazi Germany perpetrated. The same violence being perpetrated against another group.
Yeah.
Right, and the irony of it being perpetrated by Zionists or Jews in that particular thing, that is where people, the cognitive dissonance comes.
Yes. But you see, those alliances, you remember, and you even did a show on this when you had that Obama speechwriter who was saying that sort of Holocaust education has led our young to now recognize it when it happens somewhere else. So we need to essentially stop Holocaust education. You were right. They've become victims of their own success.
Yeah. And this says a lot, that when you have to stop explaining an atrocity that happened to you because you want to do it on someone else.
Yeah.
Right. So you are now preparing the field for the next genocidal attack on the Palestinians.
Absolutely.
So we need to stop teaching people empathy.
Yes.
Because the next time we do it, there needs to be less of that, because it hurts us right now. This is a terrible world we're in, and I think a lot of this people are going to realize is because of Zionism, right? And so my theory on this has always been that we can't have a fair world.
Yeah.
We can't have a world where human rights apply for all.
Yes.
We can't have all the good things that emerge from that because of this particular state. Right.
I'm not going to disagree with you there.
And this particular state matters because it calls itself a democracy, because it is Western in that sense.
No, this is democracy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sort of, listen, the very fact that Israel was born out of evil, right? Out of the evil that was done to the Jewish peoples of Europe in World War II. Yeah. The very fact that it was born out of that. And let's be very honest, the Europeans were more than happy to get rid of them in Europe. Yeah. I mean, carve out a piece of Germany, right?
Never.
Carve out a piece of like, the US, it's not going to happen, right? They were more than happy to sort of bequeath them.
Because those things didn't solve the problem.
It didn't solve the problem.
The Jewish problem was they lacked a homeland. But the European problem was they had too many Jews.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what they wanted to try to solve there. Right? So this was a win-win for them.
This was a win-win for them. And sort of seeing as how we are sort
Which
of...
is very tragic if you look at it from...
No, because the thing is that, listen, I mean, sort of historically speaking, anti-Semitism, pogroms, they originated from Europe.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? Sort of like, this... again, anti-Semitism was sort of almost ingrained in sort of European American psyche.
Yeah.
Yes, sort of, it is now, of course, post-World War II changed. But I mean, let's not mince words here. They were the most anti-Semitic people ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they gave rise to Nazi Germany. What else do you want to say? I don't see sort of like, a Muslim Hitler, like sort of a Muslim Hitler equivalent who sort of rose up and called for the death and destruction of Jews. I've yet to see that person.
Yeah.
He was, at the end of the day, a Protestant Christian, European white man. And seeing as how we are sort of on this conspiratorial sort of like, line, going back to the false flag of the Bondi Beach, there was this graph that appeared that said that Naveed Akram, the name of the perpetrator, a day before the actual incident, there was a spike in his, what's it called?
Somebody searched him in Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv, and there was a spike. They were like, how did that happen?
Man, I don't know about this stuff, dude. First of all, I am not convinced that this is necessarily in any way a conspiracy.
But tell me this, because the thing is that he was apparently on an Australian terror watch list in 2019. And him and his son both traveled to the Philippines, specifically to the state of Mindanao, which is known for its Islamic radicalism. And that's where apparently they received training.
So look, the father already had a number of these arms. They were all licensed to him.
Yeah.
So he had permission to carry these arms.
Sure.
And you don't get it without some form of training or some form of, like you have to earn the ability
of course.
Because Australia is not a open carry type of
no.
Right?
I think you have
it's very difficult to have this type of violence.
Right.
And that's why you see so little of it.
Right.
That's why this was such a big shock to the Australians themselves. But having said that, look, to me, my definition of, say, a false flag is when they've done it and then they've blamed someone else for it, right?
Right.
Here you see these individuals, like unless you can prove to me that these are Mossad agents,
these
two individuals, they're Muslims, they might have been radicalized.
But I mean, the counter to that argument would be that it is a false flag in that sort of this was a Zionist attempt to drum up, as you see, that globalize the Intifada part.
I understand that, but look, it could have been any incident.
Right, it could have been any incident. Yeah.
Right, to vilify Muslims.
Yeah.
And nobody's saying that they're not taking advantage of the fact that they're going to blame Muslims for this.
Of course.
They look for any opportunity they can.
Of course.
We've seen this time and time again, right?
But if it's here, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
What do you say then? It's understandable, of course, for Zionists to immediately blame Muslims in such a case. What do you say when Muslims blame other Muslims in this case?
You're referring to
UAE. I am referring to the UAE, and the thing is that
Propfluencers. Is that the
I've
word?
never been to the UAE. I've never been there. I don't think I'll ever get a visa because I've done a couple of shows. What's it called? Condemning the UAE.
You think too highly of yourself and the show. Okay.
Nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen it yet.
Okay?
Yes.
You can say whatever you want. Nobody's going to
until I get famous or I don't. So one thing that I found absolutely sort of vile, but then I think that is what we've come to expect from the UAE, the sort of their conduct over the past decade or so. So the thing is that shortly in the wake of this tragedy, almost verbatim, influences from the UAE. Now, I don't know how many there are there in the UAE, but I mean, apparently they exist.
Got enough money to make anyone an influencer.
Exactly, right? They've got that dough. So they, of course, took to social media. And one lady in particular, and I think we're going to, and I'll make sure I play that sort of in the edit. She says, this is exactly what globalized the Intifada looks like.
So she's parroting.
She is parroting.
There's literally like a phrase that has been given out.
Exactly. It's been given out by Haspara. It's been given out that sort of, let loose the dogs of war, right? Sort of, this is what you can do with it what you will. But that's just not it. So on the one hand, there are some who are saying, like, for example, there's one influencer who says that, in the West, anti-Semitism, sort of sort of verbal, you guys sort of, that's free speech. But here in Dubai, we have criminalized anti-Semitism. Good for you guys. How's about you speak up about how you guys treat migrant workers? Criminalize that. Right? Okay. Another guy says, you see, guys, this is exactly what happens when, Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, and then he refers to Sudan. Now, he is not, of course, speaking about the Rapid Support Force, the RSF, which the UAE, of course, supports. He's talking about the Sudanese forces. And he's like that it is the same ideology that is, fueling those people. It's the same ideology that those people, Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, and the Sudanese forces. This is what the UAE is trying to do, is trying to sort of bandwagon, is trying to capitalize on the Bondi Beach massacre. And I don't understand what they're going on about. This is a purportedly Muslim country.
I mean, Muslim
purportedly,
in the lightest sense of the term. I don't think they've done anything for Muslims or Islam in a while, right? If anything, so their capitulation and their agreement to the Abraham Accords was, I think, one of the biggest stabs in the back.
Yeah.
Because you had kind of a pause. You had those initial recognitions.
Yeah.
Then you had this trickle of a few other states.
The minor.
And then you had the Abraham Accords.
Yeah.
Right, where Morocco and these countries, they signed up. Not through... And we have to ultimately realize that all of these countries are authoritarian regimes, no matter how nice their roads are, no matter how open alcohol is available in their nightclubs. They're still authoritarian regimes. They're dictators. You mess up with them, they'll screw you over, right? So the king in Morocco, I had a friend from Morocco, and he said, one day we just find out that we're now recognizing Israel. The prime minister, he didn't know what to do. He said, this is a terrible idea, but the king had made the decision. It was final. And similarly, you see this being, it doesn't matter what the street, there is no street.
There is no street
in the UAE.
No,
right?
There is no street.
There is the elite, and there are shades of elitism.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
The elite exists in Syria, in Egypt, in countries that have seen some level of poverty.
Yeah.
That is where the street really is. And Egypt has been very successful in suppressing its street, right? And they've done that through weaponizing poverty.
Yes,
really,
yes.
Right? And the fear of that. That is one thing. And then you see, so for the UAE, I feel it's for lack of a better word, it's one of those shithole countries. I'm sorry to say, right? They do not stand for any principle. And
they don't.
Especially when somebody refers to it as a Muslim country, I don't believe in that, right? Right now, what they're doing is parroting Zionist point of view.
Yeah.
They have been supporting the Israeli government throughout the past 2 years. In this, and most recently they had Tommy Robinson of the English Defence League. They had these same influencers, social media influencers, supporting him and saying things in his favor. This is the biggest Islamophobe ever. But the thing is, if you don't identify as Muslim, as Islamic in any way, then it doesn't really matter. Then he's not referring to you, right? And so, I really don't give a damn what the UAE says. I think they are. They've just demonstrated to be one of the villains in this entire overall game.
I think, I don't think I could have summarized it any better. And this whole Tommy Robinson thing, I mean, sort of, you've seen the clip, right?
Yeah.
It is the other guy is a British, I think, boxer.
Yeah.
That man has more cojones. That man has more literally balls than all of UAE. Because he's there and he takes Tommy Robinson to task.
Absolutely. He says, you're the one criticizing these countries. Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Yeah.
I mean, if that man has more sense than the people who actually invited him, then I think that says everything you need to know about the UAE. I am so thoroughly disappointed in these people.
I'm trying to understand what role is the UAE trying to play up to? Like, what does it want to be?
I don't know.
When it grows up, right? Like, it has signed the Abraham Accords. It recognizes Israel. There's a ton of a ton of Israeli businesses that are opening up there. There are a ton of Israelis who are visiting.
All of these IDF soldiers, after they grew tired of killing Gazans, would go there to holiday.
Exactly, right? And that is impacting who else they allow in, right? Because if you allow Israelis in, you're not going to allow as many Muslims in.
Or
from
Palestinians.
Palestinians. For
You're
that,
not allowing
right?
those Palestinians in.
Yeah.
So
So there is something that is going on there. Secondly, they have tension with Saudi Arabia. I do feel that is emerging to some extent.
but there's tension with Qatar as well.
There's Qatar, obviously. There's
Yeah.
this tension with Qatar. So these are all players who are trying to.
So do you think, Ovais, that it is because, I mean, sort of there is this jostling amongst these three, because they are the most sort of dominant, if you will,
Yeah.
sort of in the region. Do you think that it's because of this jostling, it's because of this one-upmanship, if you will, that is why the UAE is so firmly in the Israeli pocket?
It could be. It could be that they're trying to gain an advantage
Yeah.
over these other groups. We're seeing that the investment that went into UAE when MBS came into power, he said, "I want this now in my country," and he's reformed. The reforms he's taking place is to bring in all
Right.
of that. You have to realize when you rely on petrochemicals and petroleum as your main source of income, you don't let your economy or your people get educated in a way. They become rich overnight, or they become well off overnight, and there's no need for that struggle to put in, right?
Yes.
And so that is something that the Arab world has, or at least these particular Gulf states and oil-rich countries have suffered from.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to rebuild their economy because they know that fossil fuels are not the future.
They're finite.
Yeah, exactly. And so you need to build your own economies and build your own people. And frankly, they've been living off foreign labor and foreign expertise
For a very long time.
till today.
Today, yeah.
Right? They can't run their own countries. And they're outnumbered in a lot of these countries by, like the UAE, for example, is outnumbered in terms of, professionals and experts.
Yeah.
Drastically by
Of course.
And so that goes without saying. So really understanding what their motives are is something that I want to know. Everyone's trying to play a bigger game. And you're right, they're jostling there. There are a few things that unite them, though. One is Iran. Right?
Yeah.
And at least for most of the Gulf states, it does that. But Qatar and the UAE still have good relations with Iran.
Yes.
Right? And so they're not, even when Qatar was attacked, American bases were attacked by Iran. Iran basically told them, we're really sorry, this is not on you. This is on those bases. It's the Americans who are targeting, not you. Unlike Israel, which targeted. And so you see this type of jostling happening. And I fully agree with you. I think that's really what's behind some of it as well.
So,
what I wanted to discuss, one of the topics was, and this is going back to my favorite topic, which is the MAGAsphere, right? Which is this flavor of the right wing of conservatives in America, which is, it's scary in that there's a high level of these conspiracy theories that motivate these individuals, and then there's this entire ecosystem in which they function, and then there's their own.
Did you follow QAnon?
No, I mean I heard of that thing, and it just scares the crap out of me. Like,
see, that's where when you said that, like sort of.
And oh my god.
So on the one hand, as you said, you have these people. I mean, they are far right Christians, right? They're not the smartest. Let's be honest, they're not the smartest. They are fueled in part by these conspiracy theories. They are I would say a base that is sort of almost entirely taken by personality cults.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they always love to prop up someone or another. I mean, sort of, if Tucker Carlson, not Tucker Carlson, if Charlie Kirk, if someone like Charlie Kirk gets a National Remembrance Day, American has gone down the shitter. I mean, there are so many other people
who
are deserving, right? And yet here we have somebody who was, let's be honest, I mean, yes, he was popular amongst the right, but I mean, he's not like some
prophet who's come and changing the world.
Like, I think that sort of, honestly, I mean, the guy had a shelf life. Not to say that was his shelf life, but I mean, I don't think that he was worthy. I mean, the way that they're trying to sort of like,
A.Rahim Khan, he is a lot
deify him.
He's a lot more popular in death than he was in life.
Yes.
At least this is what my
I would agree.
Is, right? And
so yeah, go for it. Yeah. Go ahead.
So this wonderful world that biosphere or biome, as my kids like to call it, that you're living in. It's interesting what's happening. So at the center of this right now is obviously the Charlie Kirk assassination, and his organization Turning Point USA, and where that's going to go, right? A lot of people like the Candace Owens lot.
Dude, we know where it's going.
This is my guilty pleasure, right? Understanding these things and just following them. So the Candace Owens lot is criticizing Turning Point USA and saying that some of the people there were involved, that this was an inside job. And
they've been really pushing that.
Yeah, they've been pushing that, and it's interesting where it's going.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other lot which are saying that no, this was a crazy leftist who went and killed him, even though he has he lacked the capacity to actually fire a shot at that level, right? But anyway, that's another thing. And then you have within all of this, you have this pro-Zionist element. So you have the Ben Shapiro angle to it as well. So what happened in the last convention, right? And again, you have to realize that these TPUSA conventions, especially after Charlie Kirk's death, have become these like
WrestleMania type events.
WrestleMania, mega church, a mixture of all of this. So it's entertainment and it's politics
and it's religion.
And what it is, I think, above everything else, is it's reinforcing the low IQ thinking of a lot of these people.
Which is what I'm saying. I mean, sort of the reason why I even brought up QAnon was that it gave a semblance of legitimacy to a lot of these people who, again, I do not wish to disparage them in any way, but these people are sort of, barely high school graduate type guys, people. I mean, sort of, they've got low-paying jobs. They're clearly blue-collar. I mean,
we shouldn't generalize.
I'm not generalizing, but I'm just saying, listen, if you've seen, like, for example, HBO did a fantastic documentary on QAnon where this guy, followed it for years.
Yeah.
Right? And he apparently sort of even uncovered who it was. Right? But I mean, if you...
Who was behind
QAnon? Who was behind, the entire, account and all of that stuff. Okay. Right? If the documentary is to be believed. But if you saw the kind of people, and I mean, sort of, let's be honest, I mean, this is what your general view that Democrats have of, MAGAs. And just generally, that they're hicks. They're people, they're disenfranchised people. They're poor whites. The poor whites that Dave Chappelle always speaks of, right? They're these guys. And they were suddenly given a voice. They were suddenly given, a seat at the table, right? So it started off with QAnon, but then it sort of, morphed into these kind of people like Charlie Kirk and sort of Turning Point USA and stuff like that. So if you have, that whole WrestleMania vibe, where sort of Charlie Kirk's widow comes out on stage and is tossing merch into the crowd. And, if you have all of that...
Nicki Minaj was on it too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? She's wearing a sequin suit. This is a widow. And I'm not saying...
A recent
widow. And I'm not saying her grief is not real, right? Mm-hmm. She lost her husband, right? But
the show must go on.
The show must go on. And it is a show.
That's exactly what it is.
It's a show.
Right? It's a show, and it's a means of making a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Right? There are potentially millions and millions of dollars that would have been missed out.
But Avis, I have to ask you this, because the thing is that we've touched upon this a lot on Systematic. You even touched upon it right now. This fracturing within the right, and especially within the, I hate using this phrase, thought leaders among the right, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes.
It feels so wrong saying thought leaders.
I know, right?
Thought leaders.
Yeah. But all of these people, this fracturing, where do you think it started from?
I think it started from Trump backtracking on a lot of his promises.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And when he won this time, he won with a clear mandate.
Yeah.
And not only mandate, he also this time had the ability to act upon his mandate. He had everything under his control, right? And so now when he wasn't able to deliver, right? And I think the most glaring is the Epstein Files, right? And we'll get into that.
We've got to
Epstein Files. But yeah, so I think one of the things was people losing faith in. This is a reaction of losing faith in that hope that you would. Now, I mean, anyone with any semblance of rationality would step back from this and say that, look, there was a con man, and he saw that there are people who I can con into voting for
me.
Right? And he's been a con man his entire life.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everything he's done. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he's done.
Everything he's done.
He's always lied about his shit. He barely was a billionaire and claimed that he was a billionaire for the longest time. He's declared bankruptcy so many times. And let's forget that for a second. But he found this opportunity. And he found the frustrated American street that through decades of inflation and the lack of economic opportunities that they thought that they deserved, they didn't get. And then also a political elite that was not in touch with this, that was so far removed that people were sick and tired. So when you started having that individual who, spoke to you directly, and said the things that mattered to you, even if they were hocus pocus, right? Even if they didn't matter, that's what really appealed to, I think, a lot of Americans.
Yes.
And this happened before his first term. When I was in the US and I spoke to a cab driver in Boston. Right, and he was saying, and we were joking about, because nobody took him seriously back then, right? But as in from the outside, as a Pakistani visiting, nobody took him seriously. And this guy's dropping us at Harvard University, by the way. We had just gone for a visit, and on the way he says, no, I think Trump is, he says the right things and he makes a lot of sense, this and that. And we're going, you can't be serious. This is the you're fired apprentice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a joke, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it clicked to me that, oh my God, he appeals at such a different level to people. And look, I understand that I am a product of privilege, right? In my background. But even if I go to the US, I'm still I'm not, your average guy. Your average guy there. And being educated, having seen the world, all of those things make a difference on how you vote and how you take decisions and whatnot. And they're the people who are bereft of that, are taking decisions based on the limited amount of knowledge or propaganda, if you will, that is being fed to them to make those decisions. And so it's really easy to then push on things like they've stolen the election or and that's something that is unfortunate, but it's really where politics has gone. And Trump is solely to blame for how disgusting and how poor. Well, not solely, but he's the manifestation of where this has led to.
Right. So him not being able to deliver on his mandate, right? I mean, because the thing is that while his first term was, I'm going to, clear the swamp and do all of that stuff, I'm going to clean up Washington. It needs to be sort of a government that serves and functions, for the people. This time around, when he came in, he's not able to deliver, or at least, for example, within the first 6 months, Doge, this, that, the other, tariff these people, tariff that people. But that I can understand would lead to a disaffection amongst a lot of these people who supported him. Like, for example, somebody who we never thought we would be championing, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk?
Right? And the thing is that it got to a point. But now here's my second point that I'm going to ask you. There's that. How much do you think the war, the genocide in Gaza played into a lot of these people breaking away from that sort of traditional American? I wouldn't even say it's a Republican thing, because the thing is the Democrats are just as bad. Yeah. That traditional American, no questions asked support for Israel. How much do you think that played into this civil war that right now is going on in between the MAGAsphere?
So just on this point, I think the Biden was a lot worse than Trump.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Because so I can't say that
he lacked the cognitive ability to say no to. I honestly think he wasn't there.
He was definitely there. He was. If he could pardon his son, dude, he was there.
That's that typical, put a stamp on a dead body, put a stamp on your paper. That's what it was.
Right.
I feel it is. But Biden gave them as blanket check as possible.
Yeah.
And he allowed this to go as far. Trump at least put an end to it, and it's not a good end.
No, it's not a good end.
But he did use pressure.
Of course.
He did apply that, and then he said the nicest things about Netanyahu, this and that. But behind the scenes, he had twisted.
Oh, of course. Right? There were many times in which he expressed disappointment.
Yeah.
And I mean, sort of like, we even saw that with there was an interview recently with I think it was the Prime Minister of Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Trump called me and he's like, I am very, very angry. with what what they've done. And that's the only reason why our response to that was then so tempered. We did not react.
Yeah, Qatar couldn't.
What could have Qatar done? I mean, like, they could have, I don't know, cut Al Jazeera to Israel or something like that.
The Israelis would be very happy with that.
And Israel's already done that.
Yeah.
But my question here is, because the thing is again, the reason why I mentioned somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene or anybody else is, how much do you think, again, I'm asking you this question, how much do you think did the past 2 years play into this disaffection from Trump? How much do you think that it played? Like, Candace Owens, if this genocide had not happened, Candace Owens would have still been working for Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And you wouldn't have much of the break that you saw there. And even Tucker Carlson, for example.
Dude, she came out yesterday, the what's it called, the reel that I saw. She says, F you. She said, fuck you, Ben Shapiro.
On your midget who came riding.
Yeah, on your riding in on your midget horse.
Oh my God, that image is engraved into my brain. It's the funniest thing.
But I'm just saying, like,
First of all, this I think it's played a role. I think it's played a role in that it was a domino that led to other dominoes.
Okay,
falling,
right.
I also feel that it had a cognitive effect on the base, where they saw something unfair happening again and again and again for 2 years straight. And it got to a point where they just couldn't take it any longer.
Yeah.
Where they said, look, this is blatantly wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And then somebody cracked Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens and said, you know what, you feeling uneasy is actually okay. Because this is something wrong. And when that happened, that's when the floodgates opened. And that's where this America First ideology that Tucker Carlson is promoting really comes from. And then you started having, those traditional Zionist talking points being challenged, where people are saying, but you attacked USS Liberty. You did this, you did that. Why should we be giving you billions when our veterans are on the streets?
Yeah.
Right? And then there was no defense to this. The problem is that the Israelis, they were so used to having a placid audience or somebody willing to listen to everything they say and just swallowing it up, that they don't have responses to these arguments. Why? And so they're making up stuff. When people say, oh, we give $4 billion a year to Israel, or $3 billion a year. Yeah, but you get $48 billion in returns, right? In the sense that the technology, we make this and that. But if you look at it, the same companies that open up fabs, like look at Intel. Intel has a fab in Israel, right? So tens of billions of dollars have been invested in building so that Israel can make chips. That same money could have been invested in the US with Americans getting those jobs, right? The Americans don't lack the skills or capacity. So American companies were doing Israel a favor by opening up there. And then now Israel says, oh, but we're giving you such great technology.
Exactly.
Right? Open up immigration. Have Israelis go to the US and work there as the Indians do or Pakistanis do or anyone else does. So this is, I feel, and this is another argument that Ben Shapiro has been promoting as well. I don't think that there is anything that the Americans cannot get if they abandon their irrational support. It doesn't mean completely abandon Israel.
They never will. They never will. I mean, they always need a forward operating base in the Middle East.
Of course.
And that's what Israel is.
But this irrational support, which actually, hurts them overall and makes America less safe, that needs to be, I think, needs to be sorted out.
Like, again, I feel that sort of if a woman, and we've spoken about this many times before, but if a woman like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who for the longest time was dismissed by people like you and me, if for the longest time we dismissed her, and now she is the one making sense. She is the one who is apparently tapping into what makes her a human. And she says, again, as you were saying, what is happening is wrong.
Yeah.
Why are we supporting this?
Exactly.
I mean, if that fundamental question is being asked, but it is left unanswered by Trump, then I think that, as you said, I mean, sort of a sort of a crack appeared, and then slowly it's been widening, where now they are at daggers drawn. I mean, sort of, as you said, you have sort of the Ben Shapiros on the one side, you have the Tucker Carlsons and Candace Owens there, then you have like sort of this undecided, like Nick Fuentes type people who don't like Muslims, don't like Jews, but are sort of like, America first. So it's a really sort of like, this splintering. I never imagined this would happen.
I think this is also a statement on the state of the times and the state that we're in right now.
Yeah.
That it's these people who we now are
look up to.
or no. I mean, I wouldn't say look up to.
But yeah,
these are the opinion makers in society now. Is that what it's come to? And that, frankly, is. This is a huge failure of, one, the Democratic Party, and secondly, the left in general.
Yeah.
Of how they've left so many people. They haven't been able to tap into or speak to those people. Right?
Yes.
It's become this elitist movement, which is.
But I think that is, isn't that the nature of all politics?
It is.
Everywhere?
It is ultimately, absolutely.
I mean, sort of,
it is.
honestly, I mean, we've been told how, we need to shape up and become a democracy. Sort of like, America for a good 20 years, that's all they did. They were spreading democracy across the world. But democracies in themselves are prone to elitism. They lead to either sort of like, an oligarchy or some form of, a top heavy, like, sort of everything is just concentrated at the top. So, I mean, I don't think democracy has ever been the answer. And the thing is that America, it's evident for you right there and then. I mean, sort of, as you said, you have you were in the States recently. I'm sure you saw a bunch of homeless people.
Ooh. Right. I mean, like literally 100 meters from the White House.
Exactly.
Parks filled with homeless people. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, sort of instead of that money, I mean, sort of how many billions of dollars did they give them over the past 2 years in terms of just material? Forget about cash. Instead of that money going over there, why wasn't it spent on those people? Because they're feeding off the system, they're leeches?
Yeah, that's the issue.
That's the other thing,
It's the
right?
American attitude.
It's the American attitude.
Homelessness is a result of America's version of capitalism.
Yes.
Right? It's not a result of a failure to provide services, this and that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right? That is
These guys couldn't cut it.
They couldn't cut it. They deserve to be left.
They deserve to be poor and on the street.
Just because they happen to have mental health issues or this and that. Or the fact that because they were veterans, but we don't respect them enough.
Exactly.
We'll thank them for their service because that's easy to do, but protecting their mental health or their long-term future, this is beyond us, and we're not responsible. So, I mean, this is just, it's this strange world that America has become.
Yeah,
that is really there.
And while we're on the subject of strange things happening and sort of the Republican Party and whatnot, it wasn't as much of a snowball as I thought it would become, but the Epstein Files. I mean, sort of, again, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like a lot of people, pushed for the release of those files. Right? I mean, if it wasn't for key individuals, I don't think we would have ever seen those files. Those files would never have seen the light of day. Even though, as you said, that was a promise. Yeah. Right? The latest, I wouldn't even say revelation, because all it is this chunk of black sort of ink spread across like, thousands of pages of, redactions. I mean, come on.
I think the most we're getting are from the emails.
The emails are very telling. The emails have been very telling.
Yeah, and that's because they haven't been from the government. They've been from a different source.
Yeah, I think no.
I think it's from his estate or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I can't keep track of whatever's going on. Exactly. I'm not clear. But those have been revealing, and more so because of the way he communicates with people and the types of things that he's saying to these very powerful individuals.
And of course, there's a bunch of pictures. Really strange pictures. But I mean, also the individuals now, for example, I was shocked to see Noam Chomsky was there. Even though, I mean, it is Noam Chomsky, he's revered. Mm-hmm. Bill Gates was there.
Look, the photos don't
necessarily imply. Yeah.
That they were involved in
sort of untoward
getting massages from underage girls ladies. Like Alan Dershowitz.
Yeah. But I mean, in releasing these sort of redacted files, again, who is this guy who is the government trying to protect?
I think very much so themselves.
Right.
Very much so themselves, but also what Epstein
represented, maybe?
Represented. That's the thing. Look, why is Epstein such a big thing? Because it plays right into this MAGA paranoia, right? That there is this bad guy coming out from the front. The problem is that the bad guy turns out to be one of their allies, which is Israel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Clearly, he was a Mossad asset. There is no doubt, left in any rational individual's mind that this man played for Mossad, right? and he was involved in some of the worst, most dirtiest tricks ever. Sorry, you want
to... No. I will show this, but I mean, here's an example of the redaction. This is Donald Trump in Home Alone 2, right? This isn't an Epstein file. This is like...
Yeah, it's a parody. This
is a parody of the Epstein Files. This is the extent to which they've gone in the recent release.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of wasted ink, printer ink.
Exactly, a lot of printer ink. So...
Yeah, so it's...
Please continue.
It's the idea that, there was this there's this bad entity that was out to manipulate our system, and that happens to be Israel. Oh shit! Our closest ally is now actually a manipulative piece of crap state, right? And so that is something that I think also is being, and I think there's also the potential of a lot of people being exposed, right? Because you've lost a prince of the British royal family.
He's gone.
Yeah,
you can no longer call him a prince.
You can't call him a prince. I mean, he's completely...
He's gone.
Yeah.
He's just he's a Windsor now.
And then you have people like Bill Gates, and you have scientists, and you have...
Bill Clinton, Bill Gates.
All of these people.
I mean, I think even Elmo was in there. No, apparently Epstein is, I think, in Disneyland or something like that, or I don't know, whatever. But there's Elmo in the back, or was it Dumbo or something like that?
Yeah,
like,
but there is something more to what Epstein... Like we know the individual things, but what was the overall plan that Epstein, if he was, say, a Mossad agent, what was he deployed for? Is it just gaining influence and compromat on politicians and powerful people to strengthen the hold that Israel has over these individuals, to ensure that they always vote in favor of them or come up with...
I think that sort of a man in that position who wields such wealth, because the thing is that he had, good old Shah Mahmood, deep pockets, right? I mean, he wielded immense power, immense wealth. Having somebody like that is the equivalent of like 10 entire lobby firms.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing is that even if there were no sort of goal at the end of the day, just having somebody like that on your side, I mean, what else do you want? I mean, this guy is able to, again, I mean, and he was a really smart guy.
Yeah, he was very smart, but people say that he was a financier and he did all these, exchange rate transactions, this and that. And then there were people who knew him and said that this guy did not have the capability to do these types. He wasn't a financier. He barely knew currency markets and stuff like that.
But see, regardless of the image that he had created for himself is that this guy is a mover and shaker.
Yeah.
This guy influences policy, not just like, for example, in New York where he lived. No, this guy influences policy globally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, simply having somebody like that who you can call upon, I think is any government's they would die for that. They would kill for it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, sort of for Israel to have somebody like that, what else do they want? So, I mean, even if he wasn't ostensibly a Mossad agent.
Look, to the extent that he was a mover and shaker or that he was one of those, fine.
Yeah.
But it's what the nefarious element to
Yeah.
The trafficking in young girls.
But I mean, I think that was forgiven. That was allowed. They were like, don't worry about that stuff. You can do whatever you want. And the thing is again, when you are trading in flesh the way this man did, I mean, it gets you to sit with people like Prince Andrew.
No, look, one is his personal predilection for
Yeah.
The second is him being the purveyor of these things amongst this elite coterie of individuals.
Essentially a pimp at the end of the day.
Yeah, a pimp at the end, and that he could provide these services to you.
Yeah.
It came, however, at your unquestioning support of Israel.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And if you did that, you could have a great time with these underage girls. You come to my island. You can. I'd help you in your endeavors. I'd get you in touch with the right people.
Let me, recall for you that incident that happened. I think it was sometime this year, where you had Israel's. I think he wasn't the cybersecurity chief, but he was key. He was like instrumental in their sort of cybersecurity apparatus. He was in Vegas for some conference. While he was there, he was attempting to groom a child. Of course, that turned out to be a sting operation in which he was then apprehended.
Wow.
And yet, overnight, he was allowed to leave. Laura Loomer, the jigsaw lady, right? She was able to orchestrate somehow or the other his early release from prison. And so this man who had come to US soil, and this is something like that Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks was like crying himself hoarse about, that here is a man who came to American soil to apparently do God knows what with, sort of underage children. Here he is allowed to go scot-free. Why?
Yeah, look, we need to get out of this that the rules apply equally to everyone.
No, I'm not saying that they apply equally. The reason why I'm bringing that up is that, for example, that is a very minor example, if you will, of somebody who, again, I mean, sort of, if it were anybody else, the guy was in jail, he would never see the light of day. But because of his very close links to the Israeli government, he was able to get off. So in this guy's case, with somebody who is, again, as you said, he has compromised on pretty much everybody, right? But then he has such links to Israel and to other people. Of course, he's going to be allowed to do this stuff and get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I 110% agree with you that Israelis or people who are pro-Zionists, the rules apply to them very, very differently.
Very differently.
And they get away with a lot.
A lot, yeah.
And in many cases, they get away with crimes.
Yeah.
Right? And very severe crimes. And we've seen time and time again where people who have been found or have been under investigation of pedophilia, they run off to Israel.
Yeah.
And Israel does
it's a haven for them.
It's a haven for them, right? And if you were to see the list of registered sex offenders in Israel, it's massive.
Yeah, of course.
But anyhow, that is one particular thing, and we know that's that.
Yeah.
What the impact is having is that it has undermined Trump's credibility.
Credibility, yes.
But Trump, being the narcissist that he is, he doesn't care because he's not got another term. So this is the next guy's problem. Well, I mean, but I don't think he's...
No, that's not going to happen.
He doesn't have the capability to change the Constitution.
Did you not see what's it called, that in the White House's celebration of Hanukkah?
Yeah.
They had that woman, that devil woman, what is her name?
Oh, that one, the old
Edelstein or the Edelsteins.
Edelstein, yeah.
Right? Who run some of the largest prison... They own prisons too.
I thought it was gambling.
Or was it gambling? Or maybe it's the other.
Casinos.
There's another, what's it called, Zionist family that runs all the prisons in America.
Oh, really? Wow.
Right? I mean, so she's like, we're going to give him another $250 million. And she says this on stage. And he's going to get another term.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, this man was essentially bought for $250 million. Right? I mean, maybe our state bank needs to dig really deep, scratch a penny or two together, a coin or two together, and cough up that 250 million. Because apparently...
Dude, we have,
today's
right?
the 23rd, right? Yes. What's it called? PIA is being privatized today, and it's being broadcast live.
Wow. Who's buying it?
Apparently they're just local players, I think it's Hub Petroleum and a couple of these other things. I don't think any international, conglomerates or international parties have been interested, because nobody is interested in doing business in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Right? If you see the ads that have been plastered in the newspaper and online and all of that stuff, it is Shahbaz Sharif in his very well-cut suit telling people about how he is reviving a legend. You're not reviving a legend. You are selling it off. I mean, that sort of dissonance in your messaging, who is doing your PR for you? We are reviving a legend. This is a part of uplifting Pakistan. Dude, what you have done is you've taken your national carrier, forget mothballing it. It's already sort of in tatters. You're taking it and you're selling it to the highest bidder.
Look, Rahim, I want to tell you something.
No, because the reason why I'm going on this thing is about the economy, but go for it.
Yeah, it's so what happens is that whenever you let in Pakistan any entity that is doing well or has the potential to earn profits, this and that, what you do is that a political government comes in, and if it's a state-owned entity, it fills its ranks with its own.
Of course.
So like Nadra, right? They were doing really well, had I think about 9,000 employees, a certain
and I think the technology at least that they were putting out there was globally recognized.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Nadra has done work all around the world.
All around the world,
countries,
exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and made cards and stuff like
that.
Yeah.
And
their entire systems. And they do really well. Like Nadra does a lot of software development for Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
they were, I think they doubled their strength by political appointees or whatnot, something along those lines. And then they do a case and the Supreme Court regularizes them or does something along those lines. So it destroys the profitability of these organizations. Same thing with PIA. Yet there was a time when in PIA, retired hockey players would get jobs at PIA. Right? Or they'd fill them up with their vote. Then PIA had their unions that would be doing politics and stuff like that. And it was just this, oh my God. I mean, it's, when you're utilizing these things to win votes, then obviously those things are going to go down.
Of course,
if privatization is the only thing to keep their dirty hands off these state-owned entities, then maybe that's the best thing to do. But even then, the problem is, if you're a big man and I'm a big man, I'm going to say to you, please hire my guy. And you're going to oblige, right? If you are not personally, if it's not your profits at stake. Right? So as long as it's somewhat state-owned, there's always going to be a problem. It's when it's your money at stake and your profits that you're going to say, no, dude, why should I hire him? Or I can hire 1 or 2 guys, but I'm not going to hire 500 people just because it's your political party. Right? It's like, so that is the thing. Pakistan economically is not doing well.
I mean, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that the IMF has...
In case you didn't know, Pakistan is not doing well economically. So.
The IMF has come calling again, saying that there's going to be yet another program. Right? Now, we have been hearing from this government since they were elected in last year that sort of this is how they're going to, they're turning around the country. Things are looking up, this, that, the other. And yet, why are we here now today again with the IMF telling us that, you know what, man, you guys are still doing pretty bad. How's about you do another program?
Dude, your economy is growing at 2-3%.
Yeah.
A little over, I think, 3%. That's not going to get you off anything. That is that, and that's basically, I mean, an economy that is really not doing well because it's not really growing. Because that's your basic is like requirements, right?
For a country of our size, our population, 2-3%.
You're not making enough jobs for the incoming youth that is coming. So, and look, we're not economists. We can't speak on these things, but we feel the pinch, right? When I have to pay enough tax to pay, a bunch of civil servants their salaries.
Yes.
Right? That's what's hurting me.
Yes.
Right. And you do whatever you can for this country. But they can't be taxing you at this, at such a high rate, right?
No, but
and that hurts how you interact with the economy then. Whether you buy things, whether you invest, whether you set up factories, what do you do with that? And if we're going to go back into the stupid thing that we always do, which is buy land, because that's the safest thing, that is an unproductive asset.
I think in economics, there's this concept called production possibility frontier, where that is like the absolute limit that like sort of a for example, a production unit can make with all of the inputs and everything working fine. That is the absolute limit. For us, our PPF is just land.
Okay.
Let's make a housing society. Let us either koti bana lenge. Let's make an apartment block.
The problem with this is you can't export land. You can't, you can sell it to foreigners, but...
No, but why would I can understand why some expat Pakistanis who say, for example, are nostalgic and they're like, okay, let's have like a home in Pakistan. I can understand why they would want to invest in Pakistan. Why would somebody like, say, for example, a rich man in the Middle East, right? Who doesn't have millions of rupees, he has millions of dollars. Why would he want to take that money and park it in Pakistan? Why wouldn't he want to take that money and say invest and buy like sort of half of Detroit?
Detroit's a shithole, that's why.
Yeah, exactly, right? No, but I'm just saying, like, he could easily take this money to the US and buy one of those, like, those Rust Belt towns that are just like dead and like, turn it into an amusement park. Why would he want to bring that money here to Pakistan? Why would he want to invest in DHA phase 52?
What's happened is that because Pakistan's, there's a word for this, because we have so many crises, polycrisis. Polycrisis.
I think there was a think tank that came up with that word.
Yeah, that is clearly a think tank word. But because of the polycrises that Pakistan is facing, foreign investors who want to come in, they're saying that unless the army is with us, now this is also something that the army has kind of cultivated to an extent, where they've gotten involved in SIFC. But far before that, they have set up these monopolies in the country as well, right? And their businesses seem to do well. They're able to function in this economy and work. And part of it is their discipline and they're able to get results. Part of it is also that they occupy a prestigious place in society.
They are perched on top.
Exactly, right? And they can have the laws modified or the tax rules.
But despite the fact that, for example, even an investor says that, okay, this is like an army-backed project, let's get into this. The investors are still not coming.
But the few who are come on the fact that, okay, the army will guarantee.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I'm not saying that, for example, I mean,
Are we an investor's dream? No, we're
no, not at all.
Not at all.
So the thing is
you're
that,
right,
say, for
100%.
example, if our economy is dependent on sort of the army backing a project, then I'm sorry, then this economy is not going to flourish. You are forever going to be on this lifeline, this IMF, World Bank, Saudi Arabia, China lifeline, where every couple of years you go out with your begging bowl and you're like, for the love of God, what's it called? We'll give you our nukes, right? Just give us some money. Because that is essentially what this country has become.
Yeah.
We've
become the Muslim world's liability.
Yeah, exactly.
That they can't get rid of.
They can't get rid of.
They kind of have to.
They have to just keep us chugging along.
That problem brother.
Exactly. He's the problem brother. He's the one that you sort of appears every fortnight on your doorstep. He needs another fix. Yeah. And you're like, okay, to get rid of this problem, here's some money, please go away.
Yeah. And now they've come to the point where they, first they used to just give you money and not ask questions. Now MBS has come in. They said, look, we're going to park a few $1 billion. Don't spend it.
Don't spend it. Yeah. Right? This is just to shore up.
This is just to shore up, just to make others think that, you've got something in the bank.
Because we are speaking about the economy. You I'm sure you read about it. I'm sure people at home saw this as well, where the IMF, where they released that sort of corruption report. You read that, right?
Yeah. This was the Transparency International report you're talking about, right?
The Transparency International one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Transparency International one, right? So, was it Transparency International? No. Wasn't it a report in which the IMF...
Yes. Sorry.
Wasn't it a report in which the IMF arm-twisted the government into releasing that report?
Yes. Sorry.
The government sat on it. It was released, I think the IMF, it was either IMF or World Bank.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They put it together. Mm-hmm. They gave it to the government. They're like, good job, guys. And then the government sat on it, right? And they sat on it for a good while until the IMF were like, no, guys, release this. Release the Epstein Files, right? In this case, it was release this.
Yeah.
The very fact that, for example, someone like you, a salaried individual, has to pay X% of his hard-earned money to a government that is going to sort of squirrel away most of that money, I think that it is uncalled for, it is unjust. And that paying taxes or continuing to pay taxes is just simply wrong. This may be radical. I'm not saying that sort of all salaried individuals and honest taxpayers in Pakistan rise up. But the thing is that how many of you are actually propping up this economy? I mean, what is the salaried class here like? What's the percentage?
It's like in the hundreds of thousands, not in millions.
Not in millions, right? So why do you guys have to prop up the rest of us?
Why is because there's something known as a withholding agent, which is my employer, and he cuts it from the source.
And yeah, exactly. And so, that withholding agent cannot operate without doing this.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, so that's what troubles me is the fact that there's a salaried class who has no choice but to pay.
They have to pay.
They have to pay.
They have to pay.
It's cut. I mean, it's not even them paying. It's their salary is reduced.
No, they cannot. There is no option.
Exactly. And that's one thing, right? The second thing is that the business class that is making billions at times,
exactly,
is not paying anything.
They're not paying a dime.
And there seems to be no urgency, because whenever they try to do something, it's always half-hearted, and the shopkeepers and these guys, they do a
forget. I mean, look,
or they always do a strike and bus. It's gone.
If you were to ask your average shopkeeper, he's like, "Pehle wo badi magarmach ke piche aap chale jaye. Go after those guys and then come after me." Right? The thing is that whether it's this guy who's running like a small shop or it's somebody who's running an industry, forget even industries, whether it's an agriculturist, because those guys aren't paying taxes either, right? All of them, unfortunately, have representatives in your parliament who are ensuring, or forget parliament, in government, who are ensuring that if ever such measures were to be taken, because this isn't just like sort of you and me, the average Pakistani saying this, the IMF have been saying this for years. Expand your tax base. For the love of God, you guys will make more money. You guys will be able to sort of pocket more money if you guys expanded your tax base. Nobody seems pushed to do that. Every quarter, the FBR is missing its tax, what's it called? Targets. Why?
It's aiming too high. No,
it's not aiming. It's not aiming at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it refuses to do what it's created for.
Look, it's political suicide, I would assume.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, you are never going to be, if you are in this sort of like, catch-22 where you need money, you don't want to make money, what are you going to do? Where is this middle ground where you are happy? Go around begging?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's where you're getting the
that's where the money's,
But
just go around
anyway,
begging.
Rahim Khan, I think we have had
we've had a
discussion.
Yes, we have.
It has spanned continents and
time
and subject matter. And
yeah. We are done for today.
But thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Do think about subscribing and liking, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
The revolution will be live.